Good morning and welcome back to Universal Orlando Resort, specifically for Horror Nights. So we're gonna have a one-stop shop video right now for Horror Nights this year. I'm gonna go over everything, including construction that is already going on with light towers and stuff we can see inside the park and from overhead, all the announcements so far, and then a little bit of the other two that will be coming, and some rumors too about this year that I'm very excited about. So we're gonna be heading in to Universal Studios and we'll take you guys all the way around. So super quick at the beginning, I'm gonna quickly list off all the official house announcements for this year if you missed any or if you haven't been keeping up. First is Five Nights at Freddy's. We're not entirely sure what this one entails because this is the only one they were kind of vague with. I think they only announced this because the second movie got announced, so I think they panic announced this. But the only info that we have is that it's coming in a whole new way. Again, we've talked about this in the past that it could be interpreted as, oh, it's just coming in a brand new way, like Five Nights at Freddy's to Horror Nights, like you're seeing it in a brand new way, or this is a completely new experience. I'm very excited to see what they end up doing with this house though, entirely. I think this could be a fantastic house, but one of the only ones we don't know a whole lot of, don't have a description or anything off of. Next up is Fallout. So it's just based off the show. If you know the show, you will most likely like this house. If you don't know the show, I don't think you're necessarily gonna have a bad time, but it is gonna be definitely, it's based off the show, so it's gonna have Lucy and stuff in it. It's not based off the games, but obviously the games is based off the show. So it should be a linear story in this house. So again, it will be very interesting to see what they do entirely with this house. And then next up is obviously Jason Universe. This is a big moment for Halloween Horror Nights because the rights for Jason kind of have been all over the place and it's caused issues with acquiring them for Halloween Horror Nights. So I'm super excited Jason's finally getting a house. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we're over near Fast and Furious because we do have some aerial photos from Bio Reconstruct. We do show a little bit of the outside portion of the house that is already being put up. And I'm expecting this house to be kind of almost a legacy house because it's called Jason Universe. So I think it's gonna be multiple different of the movies or iconic scenes and stuff. I'm a big Jason fan, so I'm very excited for this house. Then within the last week and a half, they announced all of the major original houses that they did last year where they did kind of a quick shoot off of all the originals. I really like that, so I'm glad they did it again. At the horror convention, they announced El Astria, a Spanish haunting. I hope I'm saying that right, hopefully. But this is gonna be a house that is themed to 19th century Spain, and a tortured artist moves into an isolated country manor to inspire his art, but it comes to life and possesses him. This sounds like a great house. I mean, this is gonna be probably a pretty scary house. A lot of the lineup this year I think sounds pretty scary and I'm super excited for that. Again, announced at the horror convention, that's the first original house. Second original house is actually one we'll know if you went to Horror Nights last year. It's Hatchet and Chains Demon Bounty Hunters. So that was actually a section inside of Slaughter Cinema. So if you did Slaughter Cinema last year, you will know relatively what's going on with this house. Again, I expect this house to be pretty fun, pretty scary. This was one of my favorite parts, if not my favorite part of Slaughter Cinema last year. So I'm super excited it got its own house. Its description says, in the Old West town, all hell is breaking loose. Red hot lava demons are possessing or trying to possess everyone, melting everything in their path. It sounds great set. I'm super excited to see if they actually end up having a really cool Old West town vibe. I'm expecting some big sets out of this house too. And we haven't had an Old West house, I feel like, in a while here at Horror Nights. So that's super exciting. One I'm not excited for at all because I do not like dolls, but I will do it just because it's Dolls Let's Play Dead. So it's going to be a doll house. It's all themed to dolls. Originally it speculated that it was just a toy themed house, but it did end up being dolls. It says you are about to become doll sized and be hunted by the toys that have been burnt, melted or meddled and stitched together by a twisted little girl. So it sounds like we're basically gonna be turned down into doll size. And then there will be other toys in there, but I imagine mainly dolls that will be like twisted, deformed. I think this could be an interesting house. I'm thinking almost like the Bugs house from 2 years ago, I think. that you kind of had a sense of perspective at a point where like the bugs were getting really big and you were feeling small. I think this whole house will make you feel small, and that will be really interesting. So our last two announcements. First is Grave of the Flesh. It says, welcome to your funeral where it's about to go from bad to worse. You'll enter an underground and be hunted, or underworld, and be hunted by flesh eaters for eternity. It's a very hell-based kind of one, but I think it's going to be very graveyard themed. It's going to be very muddy, very dark. I think this sounds like a very scary house, if I'm being honest. I think it could be one of the scariest this year. I also do think it's going to be a little bit heavy metal themed. From both their teasers they posted on TikTok and their other video form social media, they kind of had that metal soundtrack behind it, and also the creature kind of looks like it has a mohawk. It would be super cool if they have like heavy metal music at parts in this house. I think that could make it a really fun house. So very excited to see what they do with this one, but I don't really have much opinions on it because this one could be one or the other. Next up is going to be the one I'm most excited for about the originals. It's called Gulkin, Monsters of the North. Hoping I'm pronouncing that right. You're seeing it up on screen if I'm not. It says, in a northern remote village, a wicked being rises from the dead with a horde of monsters. Try to escape the belly of the beast. That sounds great. I mean, it's going to be obviously like kind of Norse mythology themed. I think this is going to be a really cool house. I love the mythology themed houses. I'm hoping they pump in air conditioning in here because that will definitely help the house a lot. And the Arctic houses, where they've been kind of like northern Arctic type houses, have always been some of the best houses they have at Horror Nights. So it's very interesting to see if it ends up being as good as I'm hoping it is. I don't try to put my hopes up too much because Goblins was the one I was hoping for last year, and it just kind of disappointed. But that's basically it for house announcements currently. We're going to go quickly talk about some of the rumored announcements, but quickly we're going to check up on merch over here in the Five and Dime. So over here in the Five and Dime, and they'll also have it over at the permanent Halloween shop over in Islands. They do have announcement merch. They do have a lot of the Jason stuff out here right now. That was the last house announced. They're also selling these like plaque things. They're like glass stained. And then every time they announce an IP house, they're actually gonna have a little like spot where you can put them on the glass. Again, Five Nights at Freddy's isn't fully announced, so it's only 2 IP house merch right now, and that's Jason and Fallout. But it does look like, so they got the mug for Fallout, or not Fallout, Jason. They actually brought the Fallout shirts back. It's actually what I'm currently wearing. Oh, there it is. I really like this announcement shirt. I think it's one of the better ones they've ever done. So that's very nice to see. They do still have the magnets for Fallout too, right there. Does look like they have everything else from announcements too. So they have the official announcement stuff for the Never Go Alone. It doesn't look like they have the Jason shirt anymore. I do wonder if they sold out of that. So they might have already sold out of the Jason shirt. They might have some more, but it was a very cool shirt, so it kind of makes sense that they sold out of it. But if you're looking for any pre-Horror Night merch, it's gonna be over here in the Five and Dime, or again, over at that permanent Halloween house, or store, not house, over in Islands. So as you can already see along this Hollywood strip where we were just filming, you can see light truss already going up all around that I'm super excited to see already. It is already, by the filming of this video, July 1st, so we are getting into the realm of they've got to get stuff packed up and ready to go, because this year it does start on like August 28th, I think, is that like pre-scare night where you have to pay a bunch extra, but you can wear costumes this year and you also get all your food included, but it's just that one night and they do limit capacity. So if you're up for doing that, you can definitely do that. Tickets are on sale for both that first night and single night tickets. Still no word on passes, but I imagine around end of July we'll probably get our pass announcements. So there is 2 big rumors that they're returning 2 things from previous Horror Nights back to us. First is the roaming horde. So years past, before COVID, we had a roaming chainsaw horde that kind of changed theme depending on the year, or even just sometimes just because. That roaming horde should be in this area. It seems like It could still be over in Simpsons where it used to be. I wouldn't mind it over there just because it's a nice break point, but I could see them actually putting it in this area here, right in front of Mel's, going down that way and possibly even walking over to Transformers area, because Transformers is not going to be open this year for Halloween Horror Nights, so they might want to break section here so you're not just kind of walking with nothing there. The other rumor, and the one I care about significantly more, is that everyone's saying that we should be getting a nighttime show back for Halloween Horror Nights. I think they did it for 2 years. Hurricane came in and damaged a bunch of the projection equipment halfway through that second year, and then caused them to not be able to do it anymore. Just introduced the newest nighttime show here at Universal Studios last year, and I just don't think they had time to do another show last year. But if they can do another nighttime show here, I will give them major praise, because the first one wasn't my favorite. The second one, though, that got interrupted halfway through, was one of my favorite nighttime shows, period. I thought they did such a great job with it. It had such great feels, music, and it just helped kind of give you a good moment in your night to both relax but also have kind of a feel-good moment that isn't just scary. And then obviously that year was all themed to original Halloween, and that's what the theme of the show was too. So you can definitely go check that out on YouTube somewhere. But again, I love that show. So if they can do anything close to that over here in the lagoon again, I think it will be a huge up for Halloween Horror Nights, and also will help with capacity issues, bringing a lot of people over here throughout the night. On our way into the park area, right past the restaurant here, that's usually a food booth right over here, usually a pretty popular one. Just thought it's interesting they've already put truss up in here. So I'm very interested to see if that's just lighting truss, or if they're possibly going to build a temporary shade structure up here, or even possibly theming this whole area with something. But again, they've said at the horror convention, I don't think I've mentioned this yet, that they're trying to make this one of the most immersive and well-themed years of Halloween Horror Nights we've ever seen. If they can pull that out, I think it'll be so good, because last year was a little bit of a disappointment. There was a lot of bad moments with it. And just some of the houses were really underwhelming. There was some really underwhelming scare zones and theming, and just definitely was caused obviously by Epic not quite getting to where it needed to be and costing more than they expected. But otherwise, it really was kind of a lackluster Horror Nights year. So I think they're trying to make it up this year. So you can see nothing's up here in the park yet. I would assume we start seeing stuff within 2 or 3 weeks. As soon as we do, I will come back over here and make sure to get it up for you guys. One thing I did forget to mention while we were walking over here actually is the Megans are back temporarily from Horror Nights, where they're just come out here during the day and do their little routine for the release of the new movie that I've heard is kind of buns. But they are back, so if you missed them at all, or you're not a big Horror Nights person but you like the Megan movies, they are back here during the summer. I do not believe they have certain times where they come out. I think they just come out randomly, but they do come out over here near Mel's. So right now, we're gonna be skipping that back section of the park. Besides, we're gonna go back to Nightmare Fuel right at the end and see if we can see anything, because I have seen a few pictures posted saying you can kind of see the top of the stage. So we'll see if we can go see that. Over here where they usually have a bar, they do have lighting truss already up right here, and one over here by this temporary cart too, raised up here. This one's pretty tall. Again, this is usually just a bar. It could be themed to something. It could even be a food location or something. Again, we won't really know until closer to the event. So as we know, there is a scare zone here towards the front. I, again, really hope that this year they either do something really solid like Dr. Oddfellows up here in that front section, or they finally move it back into this area again. I think it was always better when it went up like along this like Minion strip now. I just think they had a lot more room, and they did a lot better with it, with that room. Right over here, we're going to quickly talk about the last 2 houses and what they're most likely going to be, because the rumors and speculation this year have been spot on the whole year. So I would assume we're going to be getting what we're about to talk about. So this has nothing to do with Horror Nights, but they are setting up for July 4th. We will actually be here for July 4th for, I think, our first time ever at Universal for July 4th. We usually go to Epcot because we think Epcot does such a good time with both New Year's and July 4th. Both for fireworks and entertainment, but looks like they're doing a lot this year. So the last 2 houses that we have to talk about are both Terrifier and WWE. So those are both the last two rumored houses. Again, this is rumors. It could completely change. They might be completely wrong. Sometimes they are wrong even when they are spot on. Just false information spreading throughout the thing. I would say Terrifier's coming. That's been a rumor since I think last year's Horror Nights that they really wanted to do Terrifier. I'm not a big Terrifier fan, if I'm being honest. I'm a big horror fan. I love horror movies. I even love gory horror movies. Terrifier is a little bit too much for me. I just think the whole reason it exists is just to disgust you, and I don't necessarily love that. I love there to be some reason to grip me into a story. I know the newer ones have done a little bit better job, but I still not a big fan, but I do think it could make a pretty fun house at times, and I do think they could have a lot of blood squirts and stuff. Could be super fun still. The one I really don't care anything about, but I know some people are probably so excited for, it's the WWE house. So it's not too surprising that they're doing something about this, because WWE, to my knowledge, has always kind of been horror adjacent with some of its wrestlers and stuff. And they're also located here in Florida, so they're probably, collaborating on this one. This could be a really fun house if they do it right, but this could be a big disappointment for me if they don't do a good job making it a good house, and instead they make it something purely for fans. I know they end up doing sometimes, but I just think if they can do a really good, interesting house around some of the WWE stuff, it would interest me a lot more. So those are the last two house announcements for this year. Again, everything else has been announced besides kind of Five Nights at Freddy's, but again, I think they're holding on to that because I think they're doing something special with that. I will talk about it a little bit just as we're walking over to New York, that I think the Five Nights at Freddy's house, I think they're holding on to it because I think they're going to announce something interesting. I think there's a good chance that if you were paying attention to FanFest nights and how well it was received, I think we could be getting a group house. So one, they'll bring you into a room, scare actors will come out of the sides, and there'll be like show scenes and effects and stuff like that, and even some like big animatronics and stuff. Obviously, would work really well with Five Nights at Freddy's. But again, this is just me gabbling. This isn't necessarily a rumor. Nobody's really sure what any of the announcement houses will look like, because that's just not info we usually have. But I'm very interested to see entirely what they do this year, but especially with Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't remember ever seeing this yellow cab here. I don't know why it's there. Obviously, New York Scare Zone is usually my favorite, just because of how large it is, and usually this is the one they pour the most time and effort into. So I'll just end up seeing what this one's here is. Again, there's not really much speculation about this, and usually I would say the ones about the Scare Zone are pretty loose. So I'm not even going to try to talk about it until we get our official announcements, but I do think we'll get them within the next month. We'll probably get them about a month before the event. But again, New York Scare Zone usually is the best, and they usually do some really cool like stage performances in the New York Scare Zone. So over here is where we basically have 100% confirmed Jason Universe is going to be. Obviously, they closed Fast and Furious during the Horror Nights season for a house. But I'll actually be putting in photos from BioReconstruct on Twitter right now. I really appreciate him taking all these photos and letting everybody use it. He's so cool for that. Just really appreciate him. Make sure to go check him out if you want to keep up with these backstage photos. Takes ones of the tents too and the house entrances that we'll talk about later in the season. But we can definitely see a wooded scene in the middle. And again, I just think this house is going to be so great. I've been waiting for a Jason house for so long. Not as much as other houses, but I would still love to see an Alan Wake house. I don't think it will ever happen in the history of Horror Nights, but if we ever can get enough of an outcry to Halloween Horror Nights, I want an Alan Wake house. I think that would be such a great, and I would even love him as the icon for the year. I'm obsessed with that game, but I just think it would be overall a good time. So over here in San Francisco, they do still have Jaws' 50th anniversary going on over here. It'll probably be pretty close to Horror Nights. But I actually think a lot of this will end up staying up, especially this light trust over here. Pretty similar size to what it normally is. And I would be really surprised if they tend to take down this trust or anything in between both Horror Nights and this. Because they do, again, already have the light truss all the way up and all the way around, the one that is normally back here. So I assume this same one they'll use for whatever Scare Zone ends up being back here. So as we're heading back to the Fear Factor stage, I did want to mention they're actually working on the bridge that you cross between Simpsons and over here in London, because I gotta be honest, last few times I went across it, it's starting to look pretty sketchy. So I'm very glad to see them redoing this. It looks like they're redoing all the railing and stuff over there too before Horror Nights, because obviously this is a major bridge with food booths here, and also you get to those back houses from over here pretty easily. Other thing they definitely want to get up before Horror Nights is this bathroom. It's been down for, I want to say 4 or 5 months now, but they definitely want to get this open before Horror Nights, because this is the Nightmare Fuel bathroom, and this thing is pumping all the time throughout the night because of how busy Nightmare Fuel is. So many people want to go to the bathroom before, and if they don't have that one open, it's a pretty far walk over to Men in Black for your nearest bathroom, or over here in Gringotts. So over here next to Men in Black in the Fear Factor stage, they already do have truss up for the house entrances that will head into the back tents over there. One thing I do want to mention is I'm very interested to see house placement this year, mainly because, again, DreamWorks is done this year, so they could put house entrances back there. It was done last year, but it was kind of just opened, so I don't think they would have done that, and I don't know if they still will, but it will be interesting, especially with Rip Ride Rockit going down August 18th now, so it will be closed right before Horror Nights, and they won't be able to do any demo work during Horror Nights unless they have some sort of alternate entrances for those like 2 to 3 houses. What, 4? I think 4 that go underneath it, so it'll be fascinating. So over here is obviously Nightmare Fuel and where it will be. We can actually see a bit of the sets going up. Again, I'm going to try to get an angle and take some pictures for you guys, because this camera just doesn't have that great of zoom and it just won't be able to get a good look at it. But Nightmare Fuel, we don't know much about it. We know it's Nightmare Fuel. I don't think they're getting rid of Nightmare Fuel anytime soon. I'm hoping again for another great year with this. I'm really hoping for another year like last year where they kind of have a unique storyline, and it's not just the same one they did the last like 4 years where it's just like waking up in a nightmare kind of thing. They did change it up a little bit, but I was much more entertained last year when they actually had a completely different storyline, new characters, and I just thought last year's was by far the best Nightmare Fuel for both music and theme throughout all the years of them doing it. So very excited to see what the team cooks up in here for this year, because Nightmare Fuel is one of my favorite theme park shows, period. So don't miss this if you're coming to Horror Nights this year. Obviously stay tuned. We will be here first night, other than that premium scare night, but it will be here first night of the event. Well, that about wraps it up for this Horror Nights construction update throughout the event. Again, stay tuned with us. I come back every week or two during this season with July and then August to kind of give you the updates, see what's new in the scare zones, and any new announcements they might come out with. Also, go follow us on like Twitter and Instagram and Twitter and stuff. I try to post every time there's a new house announcement, especially on Twitter, about what the house announcement is and what it all is for the year. So just stay tuned there. Anything new I will talk about through there. But again, I will come back every week or two to do an update here from Halloween Horror Nights to give you everything new. And then again, we'll be here first night to experience all the good fun to be had this year. So thanks for watching. I hope this video brought a little bit more joy into your day, and we'll see you guys next time.